So as we do our work, we are always guided by the principal philosophy that books should not be read in isolation of each other, because they do not exist in isolation of each other. So if you are serious about becoming a content expert of a given subject, you must embrace a thinking philosophy that books should not be read in isolation of each other, because they do not exist in isolation of each other. What you must be serious about is to study the interconnectedness of books. You are primarily interested in becoming a content expert of a given subject, especially in the academic spaces. It is what elevates you in the knowledge production chain. You can only become a professor if you have content expertise in a given subject. You can only become a good student in a class because you have become a content expert of a given subject at that particular time. When we say that books do not exist in isolation, we are trying to embrace upon you the idea that books exist as a collection. In the world of publishing, in the world of knowledge production, books exist as a collective. But when books get to your libraries and to your corridors, whether you buy it on Amazon or you buy it in a bookstore or anything, you get to buy the book as a single unit, and you consume that knowledge from that book as a single unit, without the knowledge that when the book was produced, it was produced as part of a collection. So that knowledge is a knowledge that you can only be able to get when you study how university presses and academic journals work. It is upon studying and understanding very well how that production chain is managed at that particular level. So that is knowledge that is very important for the public. It's knowledge that is very important for you as you want to embark on the journey to become a content expert. So books are produced as a collective from the world of knowledge production. So when we are talking about this collection that we say books exist in or books are produced in, we're simply saying that by reading one book, you cannot become a content expert. You can only become knowledgeable about a given subject from the perspective of the author of that book. So if you want to be a serious content expert, you then have to study the interconnectedness of books. So the collection that we are talking about that exists within the world of knowledge production is the collections I introduced to you in the previous class, in which I told you about series. Today I decided to bring 3 books to illustrate a few points that I would want you to understand. 3 of these books with me right here are books that talk of a related subject matter. They are books that were published in the same collection by a university press. So as you read, as you consume the knowledge that we all seek, you must be able to know the collection in which the book that you are reading comes from. So that when you read the book, you will be able to understand what other books in the collection say, and you'll be able to understand that subject in an interdisciplinary way and in a multifaceted way. By doing this, you train yourself to be an interdisciplinary reader. You don't just train yourself to become a wide reader or an avid reader, but you train yourself to be an interdisciplinary reader and a very flexible thinker, because you have obtained knowledge from multiple perspectives that are related. So as we do our work, we are also guided by another principal philosophy that pays particular attention to the aspect of of exposing people to the right information. The right information to us, knowledge that is scientifically proven and that can be objectively assessed. In other words, we are talking of tried and tested knowledge. We are not necessarily interested in writing books, as others might assume. I remember that other question from you that, do we write books? Yes, we do write books. Some of us do write books. I know of other people who do the same work as I do. They write books as well. But our primary concern when it comes to this particular work is marketing the books that are produced by other scholars. In as much as we can write our own books and market them, we are going to do it at a much more slower pace than when we specialize in marketing those that have been produced by other scholars. Our understanding is that marketing books is a very formidable and difficult exercise because reading is so much involving. So in marketing books, we seek to understand the world of knowledge production and the world of knowledge producers. We pay so much close attention to studying people like professors, studying production companies, publishing companies, and the work that they do. Some of the people who do the work I do also work at university presses. Some of them are affiliated with a university. Because it is a job and it is a task that can only be executed well if it is done within the spaces or the context of the academia. But it does not mean that it is not doable outside the academia. We are guided by the idea that our duty is to create structures through which knowledge can be consumed by the readers. Why should those structures exist in the first place? We learn from the knowledge production world that when it comes to the consumption of information in books, we must also adopt a structure through which we can understand and process that information. And that structure has to be in the form of a list, has to be in the form of a series, has to be in the form of a group. If you want to do research about military coup d'etats, you are going to go to the library. You are going to go on the internet. You are going to go on Amazon as an individual to look for books that can provide you with the information you need to know about military coup d'etats. That is what you do as an individual. But as you do that, we want you to know that you must adopt a structure. You must adopt a structured way of inquiring information by means of consuming books as a collection. So if you go to a library or if you go to any bookstore and then borrow a copy or buy it, you are going to see that if it is an academic book that was published by an academic publisher, it is going to have a section either at the back cover of the book or on the front or maybe the first few pages of the book. It will say that this book was published as part of a series, and the series has a name. So for example, I'm going to use the books that I have today. So all these three books talk about apartheid in South Africa. And they were published as part of a series by a university press. So instead of just reading one book from the collection of books on apartheid that were published as part of a series, you'd like to buy or access as many copies as you can in that collection. The moment you start reading those books in collection is the moment you start to gain what we call content expertise. So it cannot be gained by reading one book, but by reading books as a collection. These books might be interdisciplinary, and I know that's a very big challenge for many people that might want to read books as part of a collection. So we study closely the works that a university press does. And when we do that, we are able to provide people with information that they can consume in a structured way.